Democrats are celebrating this. They are beyond thrilled by this. They think this is the greatest thing ever to happen to them. They believe that this is exactly what they wanted, and I say exactly what they wanted in the sense that they wanted this to be a loss for Donald Trump. Let's be clear. Democrats do not care about the issue of national security on this issue. They do not care about the issue of national security when it comes to what is happening in this country with possible terrorists coming in. Democrats are celebrating this ruling because it is a loss to Donald Trump, and that is all they care about. They do not care about it being a national security issue. Now, we got a lot to talk about with this. We've got this breaking news right now. This is, again, the White House is going to respond to this. I want to get that for you. Let's listen in. This is at the AGA. Listen to this court decision. Let's listen in.
And as I have said, as we have said from day one, that those laws apply to everybody in our country. And that includes the President of the United States. We've had a chance to take a look at the opinion. And one thing I just want to mention before I turn to Noah, and then we'll take your questions, is throughout this litigation, the President has asserted that his actions in signing this executive order are unreviewable. And you heard the question posed by the Ninth Circuit judges in the oral argument this week. The question was asked, is it the view of the Justice Department that those actions are unreviewable? And after a rather lengthy pause, the answer was yes. Here's what the Ninth Circuit had to say about that. There is no precedent to support this claimed unreviewability, which runs contrary to the fundamental structure of our constitutional democracy. I'm so proud of our team. As many of you know, they've been working literally around the clock on behalf of the people of the state of this, on behalf of the people of this state. It's the folks you see here who will be introducing shortly, but also attorneys and professional staff around our office, in different offices spread out across the state, all working in different ways to assist us with this filing, these filings which have been done under intense time constraints, as you might imagine. So I want to emphasize this has been a team effort from this law firm. It is a very proud indeed for this law office, and I couldn't be more proud of the teamwork that's been involved. With that, I'm going to turn to Noah, who will, I'll ask him to say a few words and also just to summarize essentially what the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals did here today, and then we'll have a few words from Colleen. Noah?
This is the liberals grandstanding over a victory that puts your life at risk.
What we argued to the court yesterday was that it's the role of the courts to say what the law is and to serve as a check on the executive branch, and that's what the court has done in this opinion, in this excellent opinion, this well-reasoned, careful, thoughtful opinion that seriously considered all of the government's arguments and rejected them. And it's important to recognize the real impact that this has already been having on people's lives. We've just been hearing from people all over the state and all over the country about what a difference this has made, and we're so thrilled for that. And I want to thank Attorney General Ferguson for having the bravery to bring this case in the first place and to authorize us to do all this.
Isn't it sad, these liberals? They act like they just accomplished some big, great thing, and in reality, they allowed terrorists to be able to infiltrate our country through a refugee program.
Kelly Wood, Kristen, Wendy, anyway, I'm going to forget people, but the bottom line is we have an outstanding office here in the AG's office. People do public service every day. We're not usually in the limelight like this, and we're not really used to it.
But they love it.
We're proud to have been able to play this role. Just briefly about the opinion, it is, as the Attorney General said, a complete victory. It upholds the district court's injunction in every respect, and we couldn't be more pleased with how careful and thoughtful the opinion is. The judges did their jobs carefully and well, and we appreciate their work and thank them for the careful attention that they gave to this case. That's all I'm going to say for now. I'll turn it over to Colleen.
And so, no, I think I mentioned, of course, is our Solicitor General who argued at the hearings before Judge Robart at the trial court level and at the Court of Appeals. And one thing I appreciate is the fact that this case has had there's been an opportunity for the public to see people who work on these cases, folks like the team you see here today. And Noah's a brilliant lawyer. He's doing an excellent job leading this team. Next, I want to introduce Colleen Melody. Colleen is the head of our Wing Luke Civil Rights Unit. I created that unit a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. And as you may know, up until then, if somebody called our office with a civil rights complaint, despite the fact that we have close to 600 attorneys, we did not handle civil rights complaints on behalf of the people of the state of Washington in an affirmative way, which struck me as something that need to be remedied. So we created a civil rights unit. You're seeing folks who Colleen will introduce who are part of that team. And while I did not anticipate at that time that the magnitude of a case like this, where that team would be pressed into service, I'm so glad and proud that we had a team of excellent attorneys and excellent professional staff in that civil rights unit who have the background, the expertise, and the work ethic, who really were prepared for this moment in time to bring this case to the successful results we've had so far. So Colleen Melody, last name spelled M-E-L-O-D-Y. Colleen.
Thanks, Bob. So I'll pick up sort of right where he left off.
Let me just say this real quick. What you're witnessing right now from the Wisconsin, from Seattle, and these liberal at AG and in the offices, they're basically recapping, saying Donald Trump is a racist. Donald Trump is a man that should be put in check, and that's exactly what the Ninth Circuit Court did. They do not care at all about the national security risk here in any capacity. They do not care at all about that. Let's continue to listen in.
We're going to step away from this for just a moment.
All right, here's what we'll do. Let me get to your phone calls, because we're also hearing now that the White House is going to make a comment in a moment about this. We're expecting that to come down at any time. We will have that for you live as soon as that happens. And I want to get to your phone calls. 1-800-474-9732. Again, we are awaiting reaction from the White House on this issue. We will bring that to you live as soon as it happens. 535-9732, the 800 number, 1-800- 474-9732, 1-800-474-9732. Dina, thanks for waiting. You're on the Ben Ferguson Show. We're obviously getting your reaction in here live. This is just disgusting. Give me your take on this.
Hello?
Hi, Dina. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm sorry, Ben. This is ridiculous. They're celebrating this little political victory, but what they've done is it's open season. They've pretty much handed them a hunting license, for lack of a better term. And like you said, when something does happen, they're going to, then they're going to act like they had nothing to do with it.
Sure.
Well, terrorists don't care.
Oh, they'll be the first to come out there and pray and say how sad this is, but don't jump to conclusions and don't assume that someone screaming Allah Akbar might be a Muslim. They'll be the first to say that.
And actually, the ban wasn't Muslim, because Afghanistan and two of the biggest Muslim countries weren't even on the ban.
One person just asked me a question on Facebook, said, how did Obama pass so many executive orders and why didn't the court stop any of them? This is what you have when you have activist judges. This is what you have when you have liberal activist judges. This is what you get. 1-800-474-9732, 1-800-474-9732. I want to get your reaction to this, see what you think about it. Real quick, though, let me remind you about my good friends over at Patriot Mobile. If you have a cell phone and it's with AT&T or Verizon, you may be shocked to know that you are actually been supporting more than 10,000 liberals to get elected to local, state, and national office. You were supporting Hillary Clinton for president. You were supporting Barack Obama. You were supporting Bernie Sanders and Planned Parenthood. If you're with AT&T or Verizon, it's time for you to make the switch to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is the only conservative cell phone company in the U.S. You're going to get coast-to-coast coverage, unlimited talk, text, and data for just $45 a month. Let me say that again. Unlimited talk, text, and data for just $45 a month at Patriot Mobile. And I'm going to give you, if you make the switch right now, a free iPhone or free Samsung Galaxy phone and free activation. Now, you may say, Ben, I'm under a contract. Don't worry. They'll pay up to $500 a line to get you out of your current contract at Patriot Mobile. Now, the real reason why I like Patriot Mobile is this. Every month, every one of their customers, they take 5% out of that bill, and they give it back to conservative causes, and you get to choose where your 5% goes. You want your 5% to go to the NRA? You want your 5% to go to the Heritage Foundation? You want your 5% to go for Citizens Against Government Waste? You get to choose from a very long list of groups where your 5% can go to. Put your money where your beliefs are. Stop supporting these people that are going after your beliefs. Stop supporting AT&T and Verizon. Make the switch to Patriot Mobile. All you got to do is call them. Use the promo code BEN. 1-800-A-PATRIOT is the number. That's 1-800-A-PATRIOT. 1-800-A-PATRIOT or patriotmobile.com/Ben. That's patriotmobile.com/Ben. All right, coming up, your reaction, your phone calls, 1-800-474-9732, 1-800-474-9732. We are waiting Kellyanne Conway to make some comments. We are waiting for not only for that, but we are also waiting for a direct comment to come from the White House on this. It will probably come through Kellyanne Conway. We'll carry that for you live here. It's the Ben Ferguson Show. A lot more coming up. Let's get you a check on traffic. Hey, everybody on Facebook. We got shut down. Our last video got shut down live by Facebook. For some reason, we quote lost connection. You can make your assumptions about that. I hope every one of you will help your friends see this again. And every time that a conservative live feed gets shut down, we have to start all over at 0 people watching us. We were up to over 1,000 when we were shut down. Help us rebuild that number if you can. Hit the share button and share this on your timeline so other people will hear this information. It's important that we get this out. It drives me insane. We get a big audience on this on this Facebook Live, and then all of a sudden the feed just disappears for us. It says lost connection. We have a solid connection. We have a radio show, for goodness sakes, coming out of here. We have plenty of bandwidth. I'll let you deal with that how you want to, but please, I'll say it again, hit the share button and share this information on your timeline. Thank you for being with us. Now, the real question comes up now, what are our options moving forward? And that's a very fair question to ask. We could he could ask for a larger percentage of the court, the Ninth Circuit Court, to hear this case. They split the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals up into different groups because there's so many judges on the Ninth Circuit. Most of them are either 9 or 10 judges. I think they could ask for that, but if they do ask for that, I don't know if that would be successful at all because it's a very liberal court, as you've seen in this ruling here. This certainly increases the stakes of the Supreme Court now. Democrats are going to do everything they can now to stop this judge from getting on the court, hoping that they can outlast filling that position until this temporary ban expires by default anyway at that 90-day time frame. Remember, this had a 90-day time window on it. The court is 4-4 right now. You would have a 4-4 split decision on this. You need the new Supreme Court justice to be on the court to get a ruling from this court. That's just the way it is. Now, when he just said at the bottom, Linda just said, rewrite the executive order. Here's the problem about that. You rewrite it, and the next guy gets it. If the next guy is Obama, do you want him to have a rewritten power? Think about that for a second. By the way, Kellyanne Conway has just walked out at the White House. We are waiting to hear what she has to say. We're going to play that for you coming up in a moment and get your reaction to that. Again, the number, it's easy, 535 or the 800 number, 1-800-474-9732. 1-800-474-9732. We will have Kellyanne Conway for you in a moment when we get back on the radio. Many of you listen to us on the radio, so we want to make sure we carry that for our listeners on the radio. You guys on Facebook during commercial breaks, we get to keep the conversation going, which is quite fun. So, again, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for sharing this on your timeline, hitting that share button, and letting other people know what's going on. Thank you so much for doing that, sharing and fighting for the conservative fight here. Diaz, how much time do I have until we get back on here? Because I want to make sure we're able to.
30 seconds.
All right, good. 30 seconds. All right, here we go. We're back up in 30 seconds. By the way, Diaz, if you want to say hello to everybody on Facebook before Facebook mysteriously disconnects us. That's my producer. You guys get to hear behind the scenes, the feed that I get, so you guys get to see that. I hope you enjoy it. You get to kind of see how things work behind the scenes. We got one line open right now for you guys on Facebook. If you want to jump in, you've never called in before, I'll take your phone calls on the air, 1-800-474-9732, 1-800-474-9732. Let's get back into this. Here we go.
Ferguson on 600 WREC and 600WREC.com.
All right, we've got this ruling that has come down now. Welcome back. It's the Ben Ferguson Show. Many of you joining us on Facebook Live as well. Nice to have you that are watching on Facebook Live. Let me get back to the core here. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has struck down Donald Trump on this temporary ban. Democrats are beyond thrilled about this. This all coming out. And just an hour before this ruling came out, you had an exclusive interview that Yahoo News did with Assad in Syria. He was asked a question about these terrorists, these refugees. He was asked, do you believe that there are terrorists in the refugee program? His words were, quote, I have no doubt that there are many terrorists in the refugee program. We have 4.8 million refugees in Syria. Some of them, yes, are terrorists. I'm going to play that for you coming up in a moment. But just a moment ago, Kellyanne Conway stepped out at the White House, and she was asked about this temporary ban. Here's what she had to say from the White House.
How did the president react when he saw it on TV? What was his first reaction?
Well, the White House counsel was in there as well and told us what the decision said. And you see the president's initial reaction in his tweet. He said, we'll see you in court. And the nation's safety is at risk. That's what this has always been about from the beginning, Martha, keeping the country safe. It's not just a promise he made as a candidate. It's his duty and responsibility as president of the United States and commander-in-chief. And in fact, he has broad authority to do that under the statute. This ruling does not affect the merits at all. It is an interim ruling. And we are fully confident that now that we will get our day in court and have an opportunity to argue this on the merits, that we will prevail.
So which court?
Well, we'll have to see what happens in those terms. I haven't read the full opinion. I haven't been fully briefed by counsel on that particular point. But we do feel that if you read the statute, and the president himself took the unusual and I thought very remarkable and heartening step just yesterday and read the entire statute, read the statute, the first page of the statute aloud to the sheriff's meeting, the county's meeting that he addressed yesterday here in Washington, and then made the point that if you read the statute, which had nothing to do with today's interim ruling in the Ninth Circuit, that you see very quickly that a president has great authority to protect the national interest and protect the security. Let's go back to what his travel executive order really did and what it did not do. It was narrowly prescribed to the 7 countries that were first put forth by President Obama and the Congress, and it's temporary. It really is, let's get some better vetting. Let's get some, quote, special screening in those countries from those with foreign nationals from those countries that had been previously identified, and on a temporary basis.
Right.
And so if we can argue that on the merits, and people really look at that statute and not just the TRO,
he's referring
we'll
to
get a different result.
The 1952 statute,
That's right.
which gives the president broad authority when he sees a national security concern to ban people, whether they be from a country, a group of countries. And many believe, and many of the legal experts that we've spoken to here really did not expect this decision to go the way it did in the Ninth Circuit, even though it is a very liberal court. They felt that, based on what was instructed, that they wouldn't stand up. However, we saw that argument go very political very quickly when we listened to that audio, Kellyanne, that night. So one of the choices is the Supreme Court. And some have suggested, including Judge Napolitano, that all of these, because there's 50-something courts that are all bringing these cases, it's not just the one in Washington State and Minneapolis or across the country, that the Supreme Court could gather them all together and give a decision based on that. Is that something that you think the White House would like? Does the president want this to go to the Supreme Court? Does he feel confident about that?
I can't comment on that tonight, Martha. I can tell you I haven't practiced law in many years, happily so. So I won't give my opinion on that, and I certainly won't speak on that at the moment. He will be conferring with the lawyers and make that decision, I'm sure. But you raise a very important point for your audience to know, which is there are different options here. And I heard what was said earlier about the importance of the Supreme Court, always important. But now with the nomination of Judge Gorsuch, imminently being taken up by the Senate, we have our eye on that as well. We are hopeful that those 10 or 12 Democrats that voted to confirm Judge Gorsuch 10 or almost 11 years ago will do the right thing here and give him a full, fair hearing so that we can have a complete Supreme Court. But that is not a comment on where this case is headed. Judicial-wise, it's just a comment. I'm commenting on our confidence that we have an excellent case when it comes to the actual merits. And the merits were not litigated. The merits were not decided upon today in the Ninth Circuit.
With regard to Judge Gorsuch, he's been much in the news over the past couple of days and gone back and forth on, some of these underlying issues about what he said. And it was seen essentially as a dig at what the president had said about these judges who are involved in this case. I know that, the White House has said, or the president said himself, that he was misrepresented. But several sources said that, no, that's exactly what he meant. He meant that the president's comments were disheartening to him. Did the president speak directly with Judge Gorsuch and ask him what he meant by that?
I won't comment on private conversations between the president and other people.
So where did the president gather that information from then?
But I will tell you that they support each other. That's very clear to us. The president has full confidence in his Supreme Court nominee, Neil Gorsuch. We're happy that he's up there talking to the different senators and getting acclimated to the process of Capitol Hill. At the same time, we know that members of the judiciary have a right to speak out, but the president also has a right to speak out. That's a time-honored tradition. Our branches of government are independent and equal. But there's nothing here that's negative insofar as the judge is free to speak his mind. In fact, I would say two things to your audience tonight, Martha. Number one is that during the confirmation hearings of cabinet appointees, President Trump made very clear that he respects the men and women to speak their mind and to offer their own opinions under oath in those particular hearings. Number two, people really didn't get as much in a lather when President Obama himself chided the United States Supreme Court right in front of them as his guest at the State of the Union, immediately following the Citizens United decision. I mean, really just chided. I remember Justice Alito literally nodding his head because it was such an inappropriate way to reprimand Supreme Court justices at the State of the Union. So this is something that is done on occasion, but I think that we should look at the mutual respect these two men have for each other, President Trump and Judge Gorsuch, and to recognize that on a list of 21 highly qualified men and women, Judge Gorsuch is the one that President Trump himself chose to be his first nominee, and that speaks for itself. All right,
so he stands by his nomination 100%.
Absolutely.
That's the way I'm taking that. And Judge Gorsuch wants very much to continue to be the appointee by President Trump, correct?
I haven't heard otherwise. I have no reason to believe otherwise.
All right. In terms of the Supreme Court decision, I know that the president sat down today with a bipartisan group at the White House of moderate senators who he's hoping will help to push this Gorsuch nomination through. How confident are you that you are going to get some Democratic support for him?
Well, I saw one or two of those senators as they were here in the White House, and we're very confident that they're listening to the constituents back at home. If you're Senator Manchin in West Virginia, if you're Senator Joe Donnelly in Indiana, if you're Senator Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota, certainly you're hearing from the president, but you're really hearing from the residents and the voters in your own state. The states that President Trump and Vice President Pence carried handily, and states where people believe in the rule of law, believe in at least giving this man a full and fair hearing so that he can be voted up or down in a way that is decidedly apolitical. I mean, look at what just happened to Betsy DeVos, our new Secretary of Education. Jeff Sessions, our new Attorney General, went to a swearing in today. A very big moment, I think, for President Trump. And it's just remarkable to me that not a single Democrat voted for them. I think in the case of Senator Sessions, one Democrat voted for him. But it's just, we can have 5, 6, 7 who are listening to their constituents and saying, I'm going to do the right thing here and give the president the deference and the respect that he deserves to fill his cabinet as he'd like. So we hope that the same politics that seem to have applied in these all-nighters that the Democratic Senate pulled over this week will not necessarily apply to Judge Gorsuch, and that folks will at least do the right thing and hear him through. Look at his academic credentials. Look at his judicial record, his judicial temperament. Read those opinions, as President-elect Trump and his team had done when they were deciding whom to appoint to this very, very important position. So we would just ask for fairness and openness. And
Attorney General Sessions voted for Eric Holder because he wanted the president to have the attorney general that he wanted when it was when the shoe was on the other foot. And I know that you're hoping that the same thing will happen. Kellyanne, before I let you go, I do want to ask you about what happened this morning with your comment about, doing a free commercial and encouraging people to.
All right, I'm going to jump back in here. I could care less right now about Ivanka Trump's shoes, and I mean that. This is a much bigger deal than Ivanka Trump's shoes and her clothing, the question they're about to ask about. Let me just say this and recap. What Kellyanne Conway just said about they believe that they have a very legitimate case, a very legitimate argument that is being made. I could not agree with her more. This is an activist court. This is an activist group of individuals. That's what this is. Make no mistake about it. This is a activist Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and Democrats, remember this date, February the 9th, 2017, when Democrats put politics in front of national security. Democrats are celebrating this because it's a screw you to Donald Trump. They could care less about the national security implications of this temporary ban being blocked by the Ninth Circuit Court. They only care about beating up conservatives and beating up Donald Trump specifically. I want to get to your phone calls, and I want to get your reaction to all this tonight. We've had so much breaking news here. So I'll get to your phone calls next. 1-800-474-9732. 1-800-474-9732. And again, breaking news. If you just joined us, the appeals court has ruled against President Trump's immigration order. Nestor, you served in the Marine Corps. You're first up. Welcome. You are on the Ben Ferguson Show. How are you?
I'm finding you. It's so sad to see this. I don't understand why they even, cut off the president on executive order when he's protected by the law.
Well, and you know what? Democrats would be out there protesting, and they would be losing their ever-loving minds if the Republicans would have done this. Anything close to this would have done this to Barack Obama, which we did not do.
Barack Obama is the one that did the list. He just followed the orders. I don't know why
Nestor, let me jump in here. Real quick, because people that are listening need to understand the context of what you just said, which is such an important point to make. The original list of these countries, 7 countries, was put on a list as a terrorist hotbed list and a watch list by Barack Obama's White House and the Department of Homeland Security. This list was not a list that was created by the Trump administration. This is a list you could even argue that they inherited from the Obama administration. And Donald Trump looked at that list, looked at the information, and said, wow, we really need to do better vetting of these countries. So therefore, we're going to better vet these people coming in. And we're going to put a 6-month or 3-month, 90-day ban, temporary ban, until we figure out a better way to vet.
This is what my concern is right now. They did this, right?
Sure.
And me as a Marine, we will see. Watch. I'm gonna say it today. We're gonna see another bombing, and guess what? Who's gonna take care of that? The Ninth District Court, because that was their fault, to go against Mr. Trump. It's gonna. Oh my God! I can't even think about this.
I'm with you there, Nestor. I appreciate the phone call.
This is crying right now. This is mainly.
Let me be clear about this, okay? I want to say this again. This is exactly the problem that you have, and the reason why I don't trust Democrats is because they put winning, political winning, ahead of national security issues. That's why I don't trust them. That is exactly why I didn't trust Donald Trump, or I should say Hillary Clinton. That's why I didn't trust Barack Obama, because they just, the bottom line is, and I appreciate your service to this country, Nestor, thank you, but this is exactly the issue. They don't care about national security. They care about winning. Mike, you're on the Ben Ferguson Show, 1-800-474-9732. Go ahead, Mike. How are you?
Hi, Ben. Yeah, this is crazy. I agree with you 100% and your other callers. They're like driving drunk, hoping to get home safe with national security. You know, it's just incredible. So, you know, these activist judges, they take a piece of the law here, they take a piece of law here, they stitch it all together to corrupt the Constitution to support their own political viewpoint on the rest of us. It's really getting out of hand, and you know, we got to do get the states together and revise the Constitution, whatever they call that, and we got to fix this whole problem. It's just ridiculous. They've taken their bias against Trump, and
they would have never. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals would have never. Mike, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals would have never, ever, 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 ever done this to Barack Obama, ever. The only reason why the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals did this, the only reason, is because they wanted to stick it to Donald Trump, and that's what they did.
Absolutely. They took his statements, his rhetoric before the election, and they're trying to read his mind and saying he's only doing this as a ruse because he is prejudiced against Muslims.
Yeah.
And so he's using this as a ruse so he can get them out of the country or keep them from coming in the country. It just, every day it just builds up and builds up the craziness. It's just bizarre. They do not get why they're losing so bad at the polls. What is wrong with them?
Look, they don't care about national security issues. That's clear from this today. If you did, you would do something different than what you just did. And Democrats would not be cheering the fact that you now have a national security risk that you've reopened up. And liberals, again, I will say this to you. The list of countries Donald Trump did not come up with, the Trump administration did not come up with. They did not come up with this. This list was put there by the Democrats. That's a fact. By Obama and the Department of Homeland Security. They are the ones that came up with this. By the way, we're getting a little bit more right now information from the White House, apparently more than what Kellyanne Conway said a moment ago. They said that we will see you in court is the official comment from Donald Trump. We will, again, see you in court. We are being told that they may ask for a larger panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to look at this because they know that the Supreme Court right now, with the makeup 4-4, would and kind of be, in essence, completely meaningless. It would be completely meaningless. 535-9732, the 800 number, 1-800-474-9732. Again, I want to make sure that you guys can get in on the show. A lot of you want to get your reaction to this. The court has ruled 3-0 against restoring President Donald Trump's travel ban. Do you think this is the right and or the wrong ruling? 1-800-474-9732, the local number 535-9732. For everybody watching us on Facebook right now, the lines are open for you as well. Thank you for watching and sharing this, most importantly.